Hey everybody, this is Tony Whistler with Drive Facebook Live. I'm here with my good friend Bill Escalillo. He's
Hey
the
guys,
he's yeah, hey buddy, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Very good. We have a really great guest today. We have Mobile
Hey
Mark
guys, how we
Granam,
doing? Yes, sir.
and the name of his shop is Mobile Mark, but I think that's his moniker too. Is that correct, Mark?
That is correct. I do have a mobile van on the road, but I started mobile 20 years ago, and about 12 years ago, I did get a shop, but so now I do both.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
So tell us a little bit about you and your shop. Just fire away.
All right. Like I said, started business about 20 years ago. Just me, a van, and some tools. Drove neighborhoods and just stirred the pot to make something out of nothing. Back then, it seemed like make a living was a little bit easier than it is today, but it I guess it had its own challenges. I guess at the time I probably thought it was a lot harder than it is now, but it just seems like once you've built it, you kind of forget all the struggles that you kind of went through. If you have that goal and dream that's big enough, the struggles aren't going to matter anyways. But over the last 20 years, I've built basically from myself in a van up to a 6 bay shop. I got
Mhm.
6 techs now, 2 service riders, and a general manager. We're located in Northeast Florida. Um, and basically out there, just our motto is to keep Flagler moving one car at a time. So
Wonderful. So now, do you do any heavy duty at all, or are you mainly just general repair?
no, basically we just do general repair, small, truck or small trucks and automobiles. Every once in a while we might get an RV in here. I have done an oil change on a semi, but just I don't get into that really.
All right.
Just
Okay, that's
my
Yeah.
my
very
my
good.
my father was a diesel mechanic for years. Worked on semi trucks and trailers, and just I don't like to work on diesels. I don't know. You turn black just looking at them from my experience. So I'd rather stick with the gas engines. Diesels are just an animal of their own.
You
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
feel your back starting to hurt you just looking at the truck, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly. So this show, we're gonna talk to Mark about the fact that he made masters certification here at Drive at the last expo. We're gonna talk a little bit about the expo. We're
Congratulations.
gonna talk a little. That's very good. Just give us a little bit of insight how that thing went. But I also want to talk a little bit about our host program, which is a program that we've had it around, but we're really making a formal launch of it now. It's a really great program, and we're going to talk about it with Mark because Mark kind of is a natural for this program. He's an absolute natural. And what I want to start with before we get into the nuts and bolts of the program itself, um, I want to talk about a story I heard that that had to do with you and O'Reilly's. And of course, O'Reilly's, we're teamed with O'Reilly's, and how they just reached out to you. So what was this story about? This is a very interesting story.
Before I get into that, just wanted to touch base how I got involved with Drive.
Oh,
I
okay.
was going through my emails one day. We were right in the middle of COVID. I got started with Drive back in August of 22.
Hmm.
So we were in the heat of COVID and being an essential business, we were, full blown running it and basically growing year over year through COVID. But I was going through my emails and I got this email. It said, "Are you too busy to hire? Jump on this webinar." And it was scheduled to be, this was on a Monday and it was scheduled to be on a Wednesday or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but so I signed up for it. I'm like, that sounds like it might be interesting to see what's going on with that. And it talked about this company called Drive. So I signed up for it. And on, let's say, a Thursday or Friday, I get this phone call and it said, "Hey, we seen you were signed up for a webinar, but you didn't get on the webinar." I said, "I know, I got too busy to get onto it." And so this gentleman started talking to me about Drive and how Drive basically helps shop owners um, to understand the back behind the scenes of it. You know, I know how to work on a car, but do I know how to run the business to work on the car? So it intrigued me. I started listening to the guy, but it, you know, you just think some things are too good to be true. And just the way he talked about, you know, helping me and I'm not alone and, you know, I didn't want to believe it. So he was like, listen, there's an expo going on in Orlando here in a couple weeks. Why don't you come out and check it out? So that's actually when I got started with Drive. When I went to the expo in Orlando, like I said, that was August of 22. But now going into, you know, being with the company for 3 years, the commercial district manager from Raleigh's in this area knew that I was with Drive for the past 3 years, and he kept asking me questions about Drive and saying that his boss wanted him to basically help sell the concept of Drive and getting other shop owners in the area in contact with Drive. So he asked me if I could possibly get on a Zoom call with him. And I said, well, sure. I mean, why can't we just talk face to face? And he was like, well, it's not going to be just me. It's going to be me and 12 other district managers for O'Reilly's out of the state of Florida. And they wanted me to talk about Drive. So the first thing I did was I hung up with him and I called my coach G, Gibran, and asked him, hey, you know, should I be talking about Drive? Should I be the face of Drive for, you know, O'Reilly's? Just because I wasn't sure. And he was like, listen, just talk from your heart and tell him, you know, what Drive has done for you. And that's every time you guys, you know, Facebook Live or getting on another Zoom call with anybody, that's all they tell me is speak from the heart. And that's basically all I did. Just a couple weekends ago, you know, at the expo out in Vegas, I spoke from the heart. That was one of the probably the scariest things I've ever done in my life is speak in front of a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, and you know, because that's one of my biggest fears in life is public speaking. But I
Well, your
overcame it.
speech is great, man. Your speech
Thank
was
you,
great,
thank you. I
and
appreciate
it
it.
and it
Smooth, yes.
it is posted for
All
those
right,
guys watching the show. It'll be posted in the chat, so
I appreciate it.
they
And
can watch it.
but I did overcome it, and it's just if we're not growing, we're dying. So and Drives definitely helped me open my eyes to that over the last 3 years. And one of the biggest reasons why I got involved with Drive, and I told the managers of O'Reilly's is, you know, I wasn't sold on the concept. I was sold on learning what I didn't know. You know, I wanted to know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, I knew how to work on cars. I knew how to collect money, but I knew that I could only take myself to a certain level, and then I was going to need help to move further on from there. And I was at that certain level. I was stagnant, and I didn't know, you know, how to go up or down. I was just, you know, running through the daily tasks of my business, and I didn't know which way to go from there. I didn't know what was up and what was down. So, but that's the story about the you know, speaking to the O'Reilly managers.
Well, the thing that's great about that story is it's really a great example of, you know, what the host program is about, you know.
Yeah,
And again, let me tell you what it stands for because I love this, that it's a beautiful acronym. It's helping others succeed today. And what that means is it means, yes, you're part of the program. Yes, we're here to help you. And of course, that we love to help our clients. That's what we're here for. We love it. All of us do. Nobody works at Drive that doesn't love to help the clients, to help the shop owners. But the thing that I noticed even early on when I first came here, um, the shop owners are love to help too. There's just a personality attraction with Drive people where we all just really care about helping. I think it might really start at the top with Bill Kay. You know, like he really wants to help people, and he built a team of people that wants to help people. And I think he's attracted a client base of people who like to help people.
yeah,
And so we want to utilize that energy, utilize that really, really positive energy. And so we have this thing called the host program, which is helping others succeed today. And the kind of stuff that you were just describing is exactly what the host program is about. And it's just a wonderful thing that the thing I love about it is it's really a win-win for everyone. And
Yeah.
we can get more into some of the specific types of things that we do in the program in just a little bit. But I did want to say, because I'm getting some positive feedback, I want to say that Brittany is watching
Hello, Brittany.
out in I'm assuming that's our good friend Brittany in Lake Elsinore. And Dustin Goff is watching. He's
Dustin.
also he's also a fellow master winner. And Vicky Scarborough,
That's
is
my
that
wife.
your wife?
That's
Granam.
Vicky
my wife.
Yep.
Scarborough Granam.
Granam.
I just noticed that it says Granam on the end. And I'm like, who
That's
is that?
right.
Is that
He may be familiar with her just a little bit.
so
Yeah.
so do you know her very well?
The name's familiar.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. It rings a bell. It rings a bell.
Exactly. Exactly. So she's watching, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then of course Shay Henkel is watching. And I love Shay. And he's
Yes.
another guy who does a lot of workshops like you guys. I love you guys who love to train. Yeah, so that's a little bit of that. Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about was to dig a little bit into the experience of kind of going for that master certificate. Because one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of clients is some of them aren't necessarily all about the trophy. They're not all about, hey, I want to be recognized as doing something. But the process, the road that you get onto to go for getting your certification is a road that will take you to the things you want to achieve with the shop. So, what was your experience with working the masters program and getting yourself to masters? What was that about?
Um, very challenging. I have to say, on one hand, very challenging, but on the other hand, it it was one of the easiest things I've ever done. So I'll elaborate on that.
Please.
When you're working with other individuals, no matter what you're doing, they're going to have their idea on how things should play out, and we as human beings think that we know better, no matter what it is. So there was a lot of things that I was doing that I thought, in my mind, I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. But my coach G would say, no, let's try it this way. Let's figuring out numbers and things. And I'm like, well, no, what I'm doing is working. Why can't I do that? Why do I have to reinvent the wheel? And I gave some pushback at the very beginning. I really did. But I kind of sat back and thought to myself, listen, what do I have to lose? Why can't I just fully give in, listen to G, listen to what other coaches and people have put in place as far as the master program, and just do what the master program tells me to do. So once I did
Good
that,
move.
that's when it
Good
became
move.
easy, because it was there and in place, and basically it showed you things. Again, I'll go back to learning to develop traits of things that I didn't know that I needed to know.
Hmm.
And that's what makes you grow. Because if we keep doing what we're already doing and thinking that we know everything, how are we going to grow with that mindset? You have to
Yeah.
sit back and
Yeah.
think to yourself, be humble, and just do what the program is there for. There are as many people that already have succeeded before us. All we have to do is follow that track record and follow those steps. So it's swallowing pride and just doing that. And that's why I said it was one of the hardest things I've ever did. And it's also became one of the easiest things I ever did. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's a very well stated distinction between those two states because it
yeah,
is, and trust me, you're not the only client that's ever came in and pushed back on changing stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens. We're all that way. We all
And it's
tend
yeah, it's
every
human nature.
it is
Yep.
human nature. Exactly. Now let's see what, oh, you know what? Now might be a good time to have a commercial break. Bill, you want to throw in a commercial break really quick?
Absolutely. Next week, we're going to be talking with Jack Brito and his son Tyler from DreamWorks Collision in their coach, Cassie Kroll. They're going to go over where the business had started from with Jack, of course, and of course, what the future holds with Tyler. So it'll be real interesting, and it'll be a nice little take on what's going on in the collision world and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be a great show to tune in next week and see them and meet them and see how their business is going.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I can't wait to talk to those guys. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Thanks for that.
definitely.
Anything else going on?
Oh,
Anything at all?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking with him. I'm so sorry.
No.
No. You know what's interesting is, I was thinking a little bit when you were talking, Mark, and it's so true because it's tough. Like, you can't argue with results because you could easily say, well, I did this and this was happening.
Yeah.
I got these results, but then you start to look at, okay, the results I'm getting are here, but they're talking about results here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's tough, it's tough to change that mindset. Most of the guys out there, when they start a shop, they're starting from being a tech and they want to, learn how to run a business and not run diagnostics. They
Yeah.
want to run diagnostics on their business instead. And it's tough at first. It's tough,
Yeah.
but it always works out because, that's kind of like what Tony was saying. One of the reasons why I do what I do now is because I want to help people. And it's great when you see the shops change and you see it all progress. I think it's a blast.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I agree.
that's the biggest thing. I mean, I get excited when a customer smiles. They jump in their car and they hit the key and it runs. It runs like it's supposed to. It gets them to point A to point B. Yeah. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
exciting to make money as well, but I get more excited to see smiles on faces when the customer goes home and 2 days later I get that Google review saying it was the best experience they've ever had at a shop. That excites me.
Oh, that's
So
great.
um,
Yeah,
and I think a lot of shop owners are that way, but life beats them up, cars beat them up, technology beats them up. The stagnancy, is that a word, of just the
Yes, it
day-to-day
is.
operations beat you up, and you get to that point where you know even Google reviews don't excite you, the money doesn't excite you, nothing excites you, you're dead inside. And I could see myself getting to that point doing what I was doing, because life was just, I was making decent money, but I was also working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, watching my three girls grow up and me not being there. So
yeah,
it's just, Drive came at the right time. And, I wanted to go to that next level. And when I say go to that next level, number one was to help people, not
Hmm.
just make a money, not just run a shop, but when a foundation like Live Like Cameron that supports children with cancer knocks on my door and says that they need $1,000 for Christmas presents for kids that are in hospitals, I just write a check. I don't have to think about it, and I do that
Beautiful.
probably 3 to 4 times a year for them, along with holding other fundraisers. And my daughter's in soccer, and we donate a lot of money to sports through schools. And um, money is not the most important thing in the world, but it's ranked up there with oxygen.
definitely
And
when you can give back.
it's what you do with that money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to give it back to the community. And just a few months ago, we had a 2025 fundraiser, back to school, get 25% off, your bill in the month of August. And we raised, I think it was $5,400 that month, that we
very
basically
nice.
donated or
Wow.
gave back to the community, as far as discounts. And if you were a teacher, you got an extra 10%. So you got 35% off. Um,
Beautiful.
last month was Live Like Cameron. I gave $5 for every vehicle that came through the door. Every RO that we did, I had donated $5 to Live Like Cameron. So we ended up donating over $1,000, I think $1,300 or something last month. So every month it's something that I can give back to the community. It's not just, how big can I make my pockets, but how much can I give back to the community? That's what I'm doing right now. And and I get excited about that. How much can I help the community, other shop owners, help Drive, help myself, help my family, help, other people around me succeed, because that's what I
Yeah.
want to be remembered by. Not the guy that changed your oil. I want to be remembered by who helped who.
No, it's beautiful. See,
Yeah, that's
like
great.
you actually think you think like a host member. Like you have the same
Yeah.
exact mindset as, the individuals here at Drive that developed the host program, and you really are just a natural fit for that.
That's the exact essence of the program, exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yes.
the thing I also want to mention is, we talk a lot about the stages of expansion. That's one of the things we teach here at Drive. And of course, generally, when a shop gets to be a master or the higher certifications, they generally are moving very close or are in what we call a stage 4, which is where the owner doesn't have to be inside the shop anymore. They come in, they take responsibility for the duties that are theirs, but they have someone else managing the business and other people fixing the cars and selling the work. And that's generally what we call stage 4. The thing that a lot of people don't know about is that we have stage 5, which is if you decide to open up another shop, you're going to have more than one location. But there's something called stage 6, and stage 6 is really what I think makes the Drive program sing, because stage 6 is when you've gotten your shop into such a state that you have the time and the opportunity to give back to your community, give back to the industry, and give back to people that could use your help, and that you're really turning up that your natural human's desire to help other human beings. And that's what we call stage 6. And I would say, based on everything we've talked about just in this brief conversation, Mark, you are fully dialed in on stage 6. And I just love that. That's one of my favorite things. I mean, I love getting a shop to stage 4 to where they're not struggling anymore. But boy, oh boy, when they start to get into that stage 6 mentality, that's all what the host program is about. And when people have that thought, or they have that viewpoint that that there's something more important than just themselves or their family, there's the community and there's the industry. And dude, I am just so happy that you're with the program. I love having you be with Drive. You're a wonderful human being, and
Appreciate it.
and I'm glad that you're doing these things. It warms my heart. Let me ask you another question.
All right.
Can can you tell us a really interesting story that happened with you in Las Vegas at the last expo? Because every time we have anybody on the show, there's always at least one of those. I don't know what they are. I say it like I know there was something, but I have almost 100% certainty that something really crazy happened at the expo that was worth talking about because it was funny or interesting or heartwarming. How was the expo? Was there anything that occurred that's worth telling the world about?
I mean, the expo was awesome. Like I said, I was pretty nervous about the speech, and I did break down a little bit when I got personal. But I mean, that was a very quick uh, synopsis of 20 years being in business. And
Yep.
one day I'll be able to tell the rest of my story. But um, there was a company out there that sponsored the expo in Vegas. It was called Rescue Net, and they were giving away. You didn't even have to buy anything from them. And I did get the Rescue Net package. I'm actually in process of setting it up here this week. But they were giving away an e-bike, a $2,000 e-bike, for anybody that was at the expo. Basically, you basically put your name into a drawing. And so on Saturday night, Drive was having a dress up party and whatnot. My wife actually wanted to go down to the strip. So we ended up walking or took an Uber down to the strip and was walking the strip. And I kept getting these phone calls every 2 minutes. And I'm like, who the hell is this? So I end up answering the phone. And they were like, hey, listen, you need to get back to the hotel. You won the e-bike. And I'm like, what? And they're like, you won the e-bike. So we ended up, going back down there. But by the time we got back to the hotel, everybody was already partied out. I guess they closed it down at 9 o'clock. Um, but last week we ended up getting the e-bike delivered here to the shop. We put it together, and it's just a fun, that was a fun story because my daughter's actually been begging me for one and we told her that we would try to get her one for Christmas, but Hey, it just saved me $2,000. Because
Christmas came early.
Well,
yeah,
she
exactly.
can't have
But
it because that's part of the fleet now for mobile. That's the
Like,
thing. She can't, that's part of Mark Mobile Fleet.
I'm
yeah,
trying to think what service he would provide that he could drive the e-bike to do the service.
All software
Maybe
updates. That's it.
windshield
Just
wipes.
software updates.
the
Yeah,
software updates. Huh?
just codes, just to get the codes off the. Just,
Yep, that's it.
But that was a fun story about the expo. So
that's awesome. I love that
so
story.
Yeah, congratulations.
I
That's
totally love
awesome.
that story.
thank
I
you,
love that story.
thank you.
Yeah, and then one of the other things about the expo that I really think is cool is a lot of clients will meet clients at the expo for the first time, and then
Yep.
they'll become lifelong friends, right? Like they'll become, and then they look forward to that moment every year where they can get together and see their, like, yeah, I've got a really good friend. He runs a shop in, New York, and I'm in Southern California. So they're as far, probably as far as you can imagine, unless they're maybe in like Massachusetts or something.
Well, the
You know,
first day I don't mean to cut you off there, but the
no,
first
go
day
ahead.
we were there, another exciting story. I had walked in there, and um, one of the gentlemen walked straight up to me. I seen him like coming from the other side of the room and coming at me, and it was one of the guys that I had talked to before at another expo, and he walked straight up to me and he was like, "I just want to let you know I showed up at this expo because of what you said at the last expo to me."
What'd you say?
I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know, but that blew me away. And it just goes back to the host program. You just never know what you can do or say to somebody that's out there that will, just help them, that will motivate them to see the bigger picture of life.
Yeah,
And again, it's not
Yes.
just about working on cars. It's let's all succeed in life.
yeah.
So, but that was a fun story.
Very nice. That was my favorite story. Although I did like the e-bike story, but that one
All
was
right,
my
Yes.
favorite.
all right.
And I love the fact that it was so moving for him. And to this day, we don't know what it was. If he's watching right now, he can go ahead and chat it in and say, "You
Yeah,
told me this, Mark."
yeah.
I
Um,
can't wait to see the graphics on the e-bike.
Yeah,
that's a mobile Mark with the cool logo.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yep.
lo- any last thing you want to say before we call it a day, Mark? Any thoughts at all before we wrap it up?
I mean, if I could say anything, it'd be just to swallow your pride, listen to your coach, and just what do you have to lose? Give it a try. We all signed up for Drive for a reason. We all want to get out as much as we possibly can. Um, one of the biggest things that I looked at when I signed up for Drive is if I decided to go back for an education to learn something different, I was going to have to pay for an education, and that's what I'm doing with Drive. Is I'm paying for an education, get the most out of it, take as many action classes as you possibly can, take as many master classes as you possibly can, and just listen to your coach and try it. Don't be humble. Try it.
Beautiful. No one could have said it better, Mark.
All right.
Okay,
Agreed.
so
Agreed.
I just want to mention one other thing. If any of you are watching and you're interested in the host program and you're a client of Drive, go to your Drive apps and go to your client portal, which you know how to get to. That's you guys are using that. And when you go to your client portal, you can go to the host and you can also look at the host roles, because if you look at the host roles, you can actually see where you would best fit to be able to help others. So if that's my last request. Go to the client portal, go to the host roles and have a look, and then reach out to Carolyn. Carolyn works here at Drive. She runs the host program. You can just call Drive, talk to Carolyn. You probably all know Carolyn. Or you can go to her Drive. You can email her at cgray, Gray, at driveshops.com. Okay, that's the end of the show, folks. I'm glad you all hung in. Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us. Thank you, Bill, for hanging around. Really appreciate you being with me on the show. And that'll do it until next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much, Mike. See you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.